Hello, dudes and dudettes. I'm Scruffy at Scruffy Tales, and welcome back to the War Zone. And in this video, we will be returning to taking a look at the artillery system known as Archer, Ukraine's artillery assassin. And as mighty Instagram and Twitter and or X, Twix, six wits, I don't know what they call it anymore. It is the 45th Artillery Brigade that has received at least some of the archers. And we can actually find them on the Ukrainian front line. And here you have it. I've marked Saricne and Crimea on the Deepstate map and on the military land map. And here we can find the 45th Artillery Brigade. They even have their own Twitter or X account, and which apparently is the source for their location. I mean, it's amazing. Anyway, so here they are outside of Crimea on the northern front line, close to where we have CV-90s and STRV 122s. They are also operating in this area. So this is where the archers will be rolling around, dealing punishment and raining destruction down onto the Russians. And we all know about the archer's excellent shoot and scoot ability, but that ability relies on roads actually to a great extent, and that is actually something we have close to the area where we have the 45th Artillery Brigade. If we take a look at the forests here outside of Liman, you can find multiple dirt roads in the forest here. All the white lines are roads that a archer can move along, and as you can see here, I've chosen a low range artillery round, 24-kilometer range, and in this forest where the archer can just move around as much as it wants to, conducting shoot and scoot, hit and run tactics, they can without problem fire on Russian positions on the front line, supporting Ukrainian frontline troops in holding the Russians at bay. And if we compare it with a archer firing an Excalibur round, then, I mean, as you can see, they can be even further away, supporting the frontline troops without issue, safe from any enemy artillery, and a lot safer from Russian drones as well. So an archer firing Excalibur rounds will be able to hit any Russian target with ease and without any risk of getting hit in return. Now, I think Ukraine will rely on the archer primarily as a artillery hunter, actually an artillery assassin, because there was an interview not long ago with one of the Ukrainian commanders for the archer units, and he said that, you know, by the time they get the coordinates for target, it will take them 20-30 seconds to set up shop and open fire on that target. And that kinda suggests to me that they are just simply waiting for an enemy artillery to open fire, then counter battery radar determines the location of that artillery piece. They forward that information to the archers, and they roll out and get the guns going and open fire on that Russian position, taking care of Russian artillery. So, I mean, take a look at this. If you, in the small map has the the range of Russian artillery. And yes, Russian artillery can obviously be closer to the front line than what I've suggested here, but it should give you an indication nonetheless. Compare that image with the range of the archer using an Excalibur. The archer can remain outside of Russian artillery range and still be able to hit those targets with the Excalibur round. So when Russian artillery opens fire on Ukrainian positions, the archer can then open fire on those artillery positions without risk of being hit by Russian counter battery. That's just incredible. Now obviously the Excalibur round can be fired by several Western howitzers, so but still the archer can just move around at will, opening fire on Russian positions, leaving the area before a drone comes in to hunt them down or whatever, and moving back and forth on these dirt roads in the forests and firing on Russian artillery with very little risk of actually being hit by Russian counter battery. So I think this is what Ukraine will use the archer. What they will use the archer for. They will use it to hunt Russian artillery. It will be mobile and constantly on the move, being a very difficult target for Russian drones, and it will make sure that it stays out of Russian artillery range and rely on its long-range shells to deal with Russian artillery positions and completely blast away Russian artillery for, all day long. And this will be super important because in this war, artillery and indirect fire is responsible for something like 75 to 80% of the casualties. I mean, just keep that in mind. It's not machine guns and it's not assault rifles or hand grenades that do the killing. It's artillery. 75 to 80% of all casualties. So being able to hunt down Russian artillery, then you're depriving the Russians of their most effective weapon system. If you can hunt down Russian artillery, you are depriving them of their best weapon against Ukraine. So I think that is why the archers will be artillery hunters, artillery assassins. They will basically snipe Russian artillery out of existence and slowly but surely allow Ukraine to gain the advantage in the artillery duel. Right, short and sweet, nothing major, nothing, no big massive news. It was just, I saw this interview with the Ukrainians using the archer and listening to their commanding officer there, the officer that was being interviewed. I got the sense that maybe this is what they will be using these vehicles for. They will use them to hunt down enemy artillery and use the archers as sniper rifles. Basically, they will assassinate enemy artillery, relying on the excellent shoot and scoot capability of the archers. And yeah, that's all I have for you in this video. Short and sweet. Go på marsch, Ukraine. Give them hell.